Chapter 5. Companionship and Fantasy. If they were to continue on their quest to find a cure for the stone curse, Herman would need to overcome his queasiness, and yet comfortable with being on the sea. He was a complete novice who never set foot on a sailing skiff before, let alone navigated one. Yet, Lefwin approached the task of teaching him with unwavering patience and a genuine desire to impart her knowledge and skills. Guiding him step by step, she showed Herman how to move the tiller, the key to steering the skiff through the vast expanse of the sea. With each gentle wave and subtle movement of the tiller, Lefwin encouraged him to feel the ebb and flow of the water, to connect with the rhythm of the boat and the elements around them. She emphasized the importance of feeling the subtle changes beneath the hull. As they sailed along, Lefwin pointed out the jib sail, explaining its role in catching the wind and propelling the skiff forward. She then turned Herman's attention to the mainsail, demonstrating how it could be adjusted to harness the power of the wind. Lefwin showed him the boom, the pivotal point where the mainsail was attached, and explained how it controlled the sail's position. Next, she directed his gaze to the winch, a device used to tighten and loosen the sails as needed.
You are fortunate to have such an experienced sailor as a companion,
Glitterflake remarked.
Yes, I'm blessed to have such a companion.
Herman agreed. Lefwin accepted the compliment.
Thank you, both.
She gazed at the unfathomable vastness of the sea. The rhythmic swing of the skiff resonated with her, triggering memories. The deep water stirred even deeper emotions.
What's wrong?
Herman asked, sensing her thoughts.
The gentle waves lapping against the hull, the whispers in the wind catching themselves in the sail. It reminds me of Mama.
Lefwin said.
She had quiet wisdom and a gentle way of expressing herself. When we would go sailing, Mama would make up beautiful poems to convey her deepest thoughts and emotions.
She sounds like a lovely person.
Herman said.
I remember as a child, I would watch and wonder as she played her flute. I always begged her to teach me. I will never forget the evenings when she would sit with me, playing with such grace and delicacy. Her music was a language of its own.
Oh no.
Herman suddenly cried.
What's wrong?
I just noticed. The handle on this tiller has a name engraved on it. Starkledry.
Well, that sure was nice of Dalian to lend us one of his beautiful boats.
Lefwin joked.
Hey, we need you done yapping. We got trouble ahead.
Gifford interrupted.
The water is getting choppy and it looks like there is a storm brewing on the horizon. We best batten down the hatches.
I don't think we have hatches on this boat.
Herman said. Wind roared and waves churned around the companion as it ventured into the turbulent waters of the Sea of Phanta. Herman gripped the tiller while Lefwin worked the ship's rigging. Gifford stood in the pulpit at the bow, his round body braced against the wind. His plump fingers clung to the forestay line for support, while his stone arm served as an anchor against the merciless sea. Glitterflake, the tiny glowing fairy, hovered above the finder's map, a delicate light flickering as she guided the trio through the treacherous waters.
Watch out for those rocks!
Gifford hollered, pointing toward a jagged cluster that loomed just beneath the surface.
Port! Herman, hard to port? We need to steer to port.
Lefwin shouted over the howling gale. Her long autumn hair whipped wildly behind her like a mad orchestra.
Which one is that again?
Herman yelled over the cacophony of crashing waves and creaking wood.
Left! Turn left!
Herman wrenched the tiller to the left, narrowly avoiding the deadly obstacle. The ship groaned and protested, but they managed to dodge the rocks by mere inches.
Good job!
Lefwin cheered, her quirky optimism undaunted by the dire circumstances.
Now, we need to get through that narrow passage.
Are you sure that's the right way?
Herman doubted.
Trust in the finder's map.
Glitterflake replied.
Why am I the helmsman anyway?
Herman questioned.
Helmsman! That's great! See, you know at least one nautical term.
Lefwin said.
Straight ahead, helmsman Herman.
All right, here goes nothing.
Herman muttered as he guided the companion toward the treacherous channel. The ship squeezed through the passage with all the grace of an elephant in a tutu. its woodhull scraped against the rocks on either side. Herman winced at each screech and crunch as they navigated the perilous waters. The wind picked up, tearing at their clothes. It whipped salty spray into their faces, stinging their eyes and coating their lips with a briny taste of fear.
Almost there.
Their friend shouted, her white eyes locked on the narrowing gap that would lead them to safety.
Just a bit more.
Lord, give me strength.
Herman murmured as he pulled the tiller one last time, pushing the vessel through the final stretch of the channel. With a shudder and a groan, the companion emerged from the gauntlet, battered but afloat.
Thank you, Lord.
Herman breathed, his voice full of gratitude and relief. He glanced over at Lefwin, who flashed him an encouraging smile, a small island of warmth in the unforgiving sea. As the ship continued its journey through the Sea of Phanta, the sky grew darker, and the stormy weather intensified. Fog rolled in like a sinister spectre, creeping through the clouds and wrapping its cold tendrils around their ship. The once clear horizon vanished, swallowed by the ever-thickening mist. Herman squinted into the murky darkness as he struggled to maintain control of their ship.
Visibility's near zero.
Lefwin shouted over the howling wind, her eyes scanning the foggy seascape for any sign of danger. She wiped the rain and sea spray from her face, her soaked hair clinging to her freckled cheeks like a wet curtain.
Herman, keep it steady.
Gifford called, gripping the railing with his fleshy hand while his stone arm remained unwavering. He wondered if the storm would cause the rest of his body to turn to stone.
Be vigilant!
Glitterfleck advised, darting between raindrops. Lefwin's eyes widened as she caught a glimpse of something in the distance.
Is that Bill Baird's ship?
She wondered aloud, uncertainty in her voice.
It's hard to tell through all this.
Sea monster.
Gifford suddenly cried out, pointing to a dark shape emerging from the fog. His expression was one of fascination rather than fear. Herman's heart skipped a beat, his grip tightening on the tiller.
Don't make up stories, Gifford.
Herman scolded, his voice wavering.
Things are difficult enough without your practical jokes.
As the shape drew closer, they all realized that Gifford wasn't just weaving tales. A gargantuan creature with shimmering black scales rose from the depths. Its many serpentine tentacles undulated in the air before thrashing into the turbulent waters. Its eyes glowed with an eerie luminescence, and row upon row of razor-sharp teeth glistened in its gaping mouth. Herman instinctively clutched his leather section, seeking comfort in its familiar presence.
In all my born days.
If that don't spill the ink.
Lefwin finished.
Look at it.
Gifford marveled.
I'm gonna need a bigger jar.
His name is Levi.
Glitterfleck exclaimed, hovering in front of them.
He's the Leviathan that guards the portal to Memoria.
Levi, is he friendly?
Herman asked uneasily.
No, he will probably try to eat us.
Glitterfleck said matter-of-factly.
However, maybe he isn't hungry at the moment. Also, Levi gets bored easily. He might lose interest in us if he finds something more exciting.
Herman, Lefwin, and Gifford exchanged uneasy glances, their bodies tense as they prepared for what might come next. The monster's approach was like an unstoppable force of nature, as if the ocean itself had come alive to confront them, as the creature towered to its full height. It was evident it was even taller than the mast of the companion.
Lord, protect us.
Herman prayed under his breath. In this moment of darkness, he knew that only divine intervention could help them.
Grant us courage and wisdom.
Herman felt an invisible nudge prompting his mind.
We need a distraction.
He said, and then an idea struck.
Sorry about this gift, but you'll need to release your dragonflies.
Not my dragonflies.
Gifford yelled, his voice barely audible over the roar of the storm and the thrashing tentacle.
There's no way that thing is going to chase after dragonflies instead of us.
You did.
Herman reminded.
Trust me.
Gifford fumbled with his pouch and retrieved the jar of iridescent dragonflies. With a reluctant breath, he released the torrent of captive insects into the tempestuous sky. The dragonflies took flight. Their delicate wings shimmered with a dazzling sparkle as they danced through the raindrops. They weaved through the air, a mesmerizing ballet of light and motion that stood in stark contrast to the chaos around them. The sea monster watched the dragonfly's aerial display with unbridled curiosity. Its massive jaws hung open, as if to say, "How delightful! A heavenly feast!" The creature's gaze shifted from the skiff to the dazzling swarm of insects, its eyes following their erratic movements. Entranced by the hypnotic dance of light and color, it began its distracted pursuit. Its massive tentacles thrashed in the water as it sought to capture the elusive prey.
By the Lord's grace, it's working!
Lefwin exclaimed, relief mingling with wonder as she observed the creature's diverted attention.
Pledge!
She urged, helping Herman steer the companion deftly around the sea monster's trailing back end. Her nimble fingers navigated the rigging like a harpist playing a familiar tune, while her keen eyes scanned the treacherous waters ahead. The sea was an unyielding adversary, but she refused to be bested.
Did you see that?
Gifford marveled, his plump finger pointing at the sea monster as it pursued the dragonflies with the same childlike wonder that Gifford did.
I never thought I'd have so much in common with a sea monster.
Focus, Gifford.
Herman chided gently, though he shared his brother's sense of awe.
Goodbye, Levi!
Lefwin called as the sea monster disappeared into the distance, its glowing eyes fading like dying stars.
Thanks for not eating us.
Wherever this journey takes us,
Herman said, his grey eyes meeting those of his friends.
we'll see it through together.
Here, here.
Gifford agreed, raising his empty jar in a toast.
May the Lord guide our way.
Lefwin added. When the sea monster was out of view, the rigging of the companion seemed to loosen, and everyone sighed with relief. Yet, even as the tension in their shoulders loosened, an ominous whirlpool churned ahead.
Is that?
Herman trailed off, his voice barely audible over the howling wind and crashing wave.
Indeed.
Glitterfleck replied, her tiny form fluttering in the damp air, raindrops bouncing off her.
That is the fabled Maelstrom of Memoria. It is the only way in.
Through that?
Gifford exclaimed, his round face pale against the stormy backdrop.
Are you sure there isn't another way?
Quite certain.
Glitterfleck said solemnly, her luminous wings beating faster.
The whirlpool serves as both entrance and barrier. Only those who dare brave its treacherous currents may gain admittance to the enchanted land.
Herman gripped the tiller tighter.
Well, we've come this far.
He said, his voice wavering but determined.
It is God's will for us to enter Memoria, and He will guide us safely through.
Let's go.
Glitterfleck urged. Their friend pointed her flute at the heart of the vortex.
Godspeed! Let's dive into adventure!
Their friend exclaimed, bubbling with excitement. A big smile broke across her rain-soaked face.
You're so weird.
Gifford murmured, holding on tight as the companion dipped its bowl into the swirling waters. The sound of rushing water filled their ears, a deafening roar that drowned out all of the noises. Churning waters painted a mesmerizing picture of doom, as frothy tendrils reached out to ensnare the small vessel.
Hey, Herman, you remember when we rolled that rickety old cart down Blackberry Hill?
Gifford shouted over the roar of the vortex.
I think this will be much worse.
Thanks, kid.
The pull grew stronger, dragging them towards its center with a force that made standing difficult. The skiff's timbers creaked and groaned, threatening to give way under the immense pressure. The sight of the swirling currents was hypnotic, like a malicious dance choreographed by the devil himself, luring them towards their doom.
Hang on to something.
Herman called, his body tense as he fought to maintain control over the skiff.
This is going to be fun!
Lefwin exclaimed. Gifford gave another look of disbelief at her weird optimism as he wrapped himself around the ship's mast to stay on board. The descent was swift and dizzy, a mad whirlwind of chaos as the companion spiraled down into the depths.
Look!
Herman shouted, straining his voice.
There's light below.